was mortal once, lost like you. And now look how glorious I have become.
What's going on, guys? Running it back with another replay for you. We've got Wood Elves over here, helmed by Stelios, and Pepinable. It's going to be rocking Slaanesh here with the Fiends, of course. Very impactful unit that is pretty much an auto-include. I mean, everybody has spoken their piece about those, I imagine, so I'll spare you. They're great. Very useful. We'll see how Pep is going to make use out of those guys here. Two Chaos Furies, some Seekers hiding up in the trees, actually. Very aggressive opening in terms of mobility. It's actually quite a bit to bring. That's the balance of the army, in fact, just about. Very thin on infantry, but pretty decent infantry core. You know, Devoted Marauders are really not all that bad. Slaaneshi infantry in general are pretty strong because of that immune to psychology. They just don't break and tear out, so that's really nice. Prince of Perfection here. They're pretty good little ROR that's not too expensive, doesn't break the bank. And the Mirror Guard are great because they get the magical attacks, which regular Slaanesh warriors do not have access to. They have Supreme Vanity for a little bit of a buff to any lords that are near them. That's nice as well as just the generally overall better stats that the RORs bring. 54 melee defense is so beefy. It's one of the reasons why they were an auto-include in the Warhammer 2 days, before you got all of the standard variants. These guys were just one of the most rock-solid ROR infantry pieces in the game. Warriors of Chaos really liked using these guys for that reason. Again, they have immune to psychology. They got the really good melee attack and melee defense with the magical attack, so they'll be really good against Dryads and Eternal Guard alike. Good against War Dancers, good against everything on the Wood Elf roster, actually, so I really love the inclusion of these guys. So we'll just go ahead and start kicking it off. We've got some low extrictors here for the Wood Elves. A couple of Eternal Guard here, 3 of those guys with the Silver Shields, just in case of the Horse Poke. We've got 3 Glade Guard with the Hagbane tips, man. Getting their first volleys in, doing some really good damage to those Devoted Marauders. Dryads in the back and some War Dancers, all of which is there to clear. And old Durthu here, I'm sure everybody noticed. Definitely want to highlight this guy. Just dropped Lamentation of Despair and did some nasty damage to those Devoted Marauders there. Got 13 models killed right off the bat. Sword of Daith and Flock of Doom being the other 2 spells. Blessing of the Ancients. Not super applicable on this map. I mean, I guess if you go up in the woods with him, but that's so far away from where he wants to fight. Durthu's great on maps like this where there's a middle objective for him to just fight everything on. He's got great armor, leadership. You know, I mean, 35 speed for a big unit like this really isn't too bad. Great health pool. Crazy good melee attack of 75, 48 melee defense, which is pretty good, and crazy armor-piercing weapon strength. With Physres, this dude is everything you could possibly want, with the additional bonus of negating magical weapons, as long as he's above 50% health, and got it all out of the way. So now we can just sit back and enjoy the game, and we got Durthu. He's just rocking right on in there, man, going all in, taking out some of these Devoted Marauders. Huge sword swings. Lowering the base a little bit with those, the tendrils. I love his attack animations, growing those, like, wicked living vines out of his hands. Having absolutely no mercy here and just going all out on these Marauders. Doing a really good job of cleaving through them right now. Some Furies landing on top of some of the Glade Guard. Does look like they're going to be running a little bit, and the Dryads looking to get after these Furies. Definitely need to keep pursuing there and not let up on the pressure. Great charge from the Fiends. And these Glade Guard got a little bit tied up with their Eternal Guard. Took some damage, too. I'm just going to pause it. I need to figure out what probably Pavane, then. I think a good Pavane in the front line to get these guys not routing, but, you know, moving forward because of the rampaging into the poor Marauders here, who have just gotten absolutely smacked around in the early going from the missile play and Durthu. But good Pavane brings the missiles forward. They get jumped on by the Fiends. Fiends and the Mirror Guard holding here pretty firmly right now. Doing some pretty good damage, I would have to say. And Fiends, man, this is how you make good use out of these guys. Just as the Furies start to dissipate, They get right in there on top of the Glade Guard with Hagbane tips. Oh, and a huge charge coming in from the Seekers, crushing into the Eternal Guard, and the Loix Tricksters here too, who are taking disgusting damage. Down to less than half health in just no time flat, and that is absolutely clutch value from the Seekers. Perfectly timed the Blissful Rapture too. Amazing plays. Really good call there. Getting in on top of all those guys and doing as much damage as they have done. And getting out of the way of the Enigmas of Giron. Actually a very unique ROR unit. They get Flesh to Stone and a Regrowth for their bound spells. Pretty good missile resist. Not incredible armor, but they do have the Dampen effect, which negates magical weapons, and also lowers spell resistance, which is pretty good here, actually. You know, it's going to give a little bit of extra punch to any Flock of Dooms that go down, and Flock of Doom is really good against Seekers, and a little bit of damage it can do against Fiends. The extra 20% layered on top, though, a little bit of extra juice there, and these guys have crazy bonus versus large, and they're doing their best to try and save what's left of this missile line. You can see, man, we've got one Hagbane tip out here, very beat up, one is shattered, and the other is getting absolutely mulched right now by these Seekers. Seekers paying for themselves real nicely, and the Fiends jumping out here, getting on top of this very haggard and tattered Glade Guard, as well as what remains of the Loix Tricksters, who have popped everything they possibly can. Loix Shroud going off, Storm of Blades for the extra melee attack, although I actually think that's a little bit wasted here. I think you'd be better off putting them in the Shadow's Coil. Yeah, Shadow's Coil. They'd still have okay melee attack. They've got that bonus versus large of 23, and they'd be all the more stalwart against the Fiends here with their pretty low melee attack. Charge bonus being much more impactful for those guys, but man, oh man, are the Loix Tricksters getting absolutely handled right now, and these Glade Guard definitely going to be shattering here in a moment, taking disgusting damage. Fiends looking to get back into the middle fight here, and Durthu and some Dryads and Eternal Guard holding the line here. 1,300 value on Durthu so far. Getting great attacks in here, dropping all those Flocks of Doom, I'm sure, and getting some really good work done. Pepinable with the pressure right now, though, just unrelenting all over the back lines of the Wood Elves, cutting off a lot of reinforcements too, and Azazel going after the Enigmas here. Perfect target for him, honestly. Very much like Falkia. Falkia would be a little bit better against the Enigmas just because she is a dedicated anti-large duelist, so she would be getting the benefits of her bonus versus large against these guys. But Azazel just has really good stats as well. He's got really good weapon strength. He's also an excellent duelist against these guys because he is indeed a small target and does not suffer the same penalties that many another lord might be in that combat there. Huge Flock of Doom being dropped here. 2,000 value on Durthu. Durthu fighting the Fiends. Getting some damage on them. Killing a couple of models, it looks like. Getting a few more good attacks in here. And just trying to hold down this middle objective. Clearing out a lot of Slaaneshi forces so far. And a big Lamentation of Despair coming in here. Crushing through some of the Bringers of Beguilement. ROR Demonettes on the field. They're doing pretty nicely here, but they are fighting War Dancers and Dryads who are doing pretty well for themselves here. Definitely some units that can trade, maybe not fully efficiently into Demonettes just because of how good they are, but definitely get some good attacks in and slowly work them down for sure. Some magic going down on the Enigmas here. Narcissism being popped, slowing the unit down and not letting them fully pile in here. Charmed as well, they are silenced, and Azazel continuing the pressure and jumping right on top of those guys. Durthu continuing to grind through her. 243 kills right now, with 2,400 value, 2,700 and counting. Oh my god, it's just racking it up. Durthu going all day right now, doing his best to help out his forces, and Pepinable taking a nice value lead here. Hawk Riders coming in, getting some good shots on these Fiends right now. They don't have the They don't have magical weapons, though, unfortunately, so getting a little bit of damage mitigated, and it looks like some magic being popped on them. Probably an Acquiescence, or, oh, no Acquiescence, just Lash and the Purveyne. So Purveyne going down on these guys, rampaging them onto the ground. into the middle of the Fiends right now, who are just going to turn around. You can see how much damage these Hawk Riders are taking. Catastrophic amounts of damage. Very risky play bringing these guys in. Very much not working out too well for the Wood Elves, who are just completely routing here in the middle, despite Durthu's presence. Durthu is getting some good damage in here, don't get me wrong. Really close to breaking these Devoted Marauders. We've got a lot of very beat-up Slaaneshi forces here, but they are pretty impactful regardless. One very healthy Devoted Marauder, and the Bringers of Beguilement down to less than half health, but man oh man are they doing nicely for themselves. Definitely can turn and fight this unit of War Dancers. Another Lamentation of Despair going down. 3,200 on Durthu. He's just racking it up. I mean, all day, every day for him. Fiends finally going down back here. Not before getting 1,700 value, though. Just tearing apart Wood Elf after Wood Elf. Dryads, Horsemen, everything that the Wood Elves are bringing out. Falling to the fury of the Fiends. Some Hellstriders making their way out onto the battlefield. That 100 speed, poison, anti-large bonus. Crushing what remains of those Glade Riders. Vicious combat there for the Wood Elves, and they're really suffering now. We've got some more tattered Hellstriders making their way in. Another fresh unit of Fiends coming in to replace now. And Durthu all alone here on the middle objective. I don't know if he's going to be able to swing this. He's got a decent amount of health left in the bank here. 6,900 HP, 3,400 value. He stands alone. Can he do it, though? It's going to be really difficult for him, and he does get a Narcissism popped on him. So really good use out of the Slaaneshi army abilities, silencing up this very big lord, and making it so he can't maneuver out of this fight against Azazel is a pretty good situation, but Durthu, with his steady leadership, manages to resist the influences of the Demon Blade from Azazel. And Azazel's actually getting popped in the face right here, losing about 1,500 HP in quick succession there. Durthu definitely looking to be in a pretty dominant spot here. Regardless of fighting on top of all these spears, he's still got 110 armor, doing very nicely for himself. Pavane popped on top of him, keeping him locked in this combat. And unfortunately, though, the Wood Elves, elsewhere on the battlefield, really struggling. Pep has been all over their backfield this game. And these Fiends are still alive. I could have sworn they were going to go down. But saving these guys in the fourth quarter and continuing to get value out of these Fiends is just nasty work. 2,000 value on this unit of Fiends here. The fresh summon of Fiends from the beginning of the game, I'm guessing. Oh, wow. Getting about 1,600, and that is actually going to be the end of the game there. Which I guess does kind of make sense. I mean, you got Durthu here, surrounded by a bunch of spears. You're just going to slowly chip them down. You've got Dryads getting absolutely pummeled right now by the Slaaneshi mobility. Wood Elves with no real way to get back onto that middle objective, or even to find a safe pocket from which to begin fighting from again. Beautiful, beautiful play from Pep, man, with that pressure. This is the kind of build that can work out for sure against Wood Elves. Wood Elves have been pretty dominant in the past in the meta, but maybe a little inflated just because of how many high-level players got onto them early in the season. All those buffs in the early going made them look pretty impossible to deal with. But their win rate has dropped. I think people are figuring out how to approach the meta game against them, so to speak. And as you can see, mobility and unrelenting fury definitely maybe the way to go about it for sure against these guys. I do love the inclusion of Durthu. He is really good against demon factions. Having that magical negation aura around him, as well as just the insane combat prowess and infantry clearing abilities that he brings to the table. Very good against demons, and good on those maps, especially with a middle point where he can really anchor a position for you. For the Force of the Wood Elves, I'm really wondering what they could do differently. I really don't think the Glade Riders are the answer here. You saw that one Glade Rider get absolutely flattened. I believe this other one had a pretty similar situation occur to them. Hawk Riders really were a little superfluous. And I do love the Enigmas of Giron, but they're a really expensive tool. I believe these guys are almost like 2,000 gold, if I'm not mistaken, so I like the idea behind the Zotes. I'm not 100% sure if against Slaanesh is the way to do it, though. These guys are very similar to Dragon Ogres in a lot of ways. They do have the heals, which is really nice, but I think maybe just going a little wider with Wild Riders might actually be the best way to go about this matchup. Wild Riders hit really hard on the charge, and definitely fight better than Glade Riders. Glade Riders are decent on the charge, but I don't know. They just seem to really get folded up by the Hellstriders. But I imagine this is probably a pretty difficult matchup for Wood Elves. When you really think about it, it might seem like Slaanesh would be at the mercy of the Wood Elves here, just because of the really good missiles. But with those rampages, with all of the mobility that can actually get in and shut down the Hagbane tips and Way Watchers and other tools, might be a little more difficult. You'd probably have to skew towards bringing the Glade Lord with Prey of Anathrema. That might give you a little bit enough, or might give you enough battlefield control to make better use out of your missile line. If you're going to bring Durthu, I think maybe just a straight up rush would be better. And I think Eternal Guard probably best left on the cutting room floor. And just bring a bunch of Dryads. Dryads and all the magic damage that you can get your hands on, which is pretty substantial for Wood Elves. They can definitely get a lot of units out that have some good prowess against the demons in that regard. But something to work on, something to think about. Always stuff to refine with a lot of these builds, and especially in a lot of these matchups, you know. There's 24 factions, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more. Don't quote me on that. I don't actually remember, which I guess is a little embarrassing considering that I do cast this game all the time and I do play an awful lot of it, but whatever. It can be a little bit difficult to keep everything straight in your head, and that's kind of what separates people who are in like the top tiers of this game, like the kind of knowledge that guys like Charix and Nerexa and Tim the Wilder bring to the table is pretty staggering. They know all the little tricks. And, you know, keep going at it, Stelios. You're definitely going to get it. Better luck next time in this matchup. Little rough with the missiles. They just got compromised so quickly by Slaanesh, which is really not too terribly uncommon. So, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Be curious to hear from y'all what y'all think might be the answer for the Wood Elves on this particular map with this basic composition of Durthu and you know, pretty durable melee line with some missiles in here. What do y'all think could work? I do think the Wild Hunters of Kurnus would have been a very nice tool to have out on the field as opposed to the Hawk Riders, but would they have made all the difference in the world? Kind of hard to say. They do have the magic attacks and bonus versus large to deal with Fiends. Probably could have done pretty good against the Chaos Furies as well. And a lot faster. Definitely able to keep up with Slaanesh, who's just so incredibly speedy. I mean, 100 speed on a lot of these ground units is honestly kind of buffoonish if you think about it. But, you know, balance is balance for a reason. And Slaanesh and Wood Elves are probably about even in terms of the tiers right now. Both very top tier, high skill ceiling factions. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed this one. Take care, guys. GG's. Peace.